To start, we are going to want to create the package.json file by running npm init. From there is going to ask for some of the settings, and we can use mostly all the default settings by just pressing enter. And then the only thing we're going to want to change is we'll change the entry point from index.js to app.js. We'll just type yes to confirm, and then we're good with that. So now you can see that we do have our package.json file created in our folder. Now we are going to want to install the packages that this app is going to use. We have 4 separate packages: the Express package, the EJS package, request, and MySQL. To do that, we can do that in one command by using the I for install, and then we will list our different packages that we'd like to install. So we can just go ahead and list next to each other: Express, EJS, request, and MySQL. And so I'll go ahead and hit enter. And as you can see, it's going to start installing all of those packages. Perfect. So it looks like we're all done with that. We can go look into our package.json file, and we will see all of our dependencies created with our different versions for the packages that we just installed. Now we're just going to need to create our app.js file and initialize it with some basic code for an Express app. So to do that, in the root folder, I'm just going to create a new file and title it app.js. Open this up, and then inside of here, I'm going to go ahead and put that basic code for the Express set that we talked about. Main things in here are the default route that right now is just set to send a simple string confirmation message that it's working, and also the server starting here with the message in the console to let you know that the server is currently running. Now we just need to set up the folder structure for our default Express app. So we're going to have 2 root folders: the public folder as well as the views folder. Inside the public folder, we're going to create a folder for our CSS files, for our image files, and for our JavaScript files. And then the views folder, we're just going to have another folder for our partials. Following that, we're going to want to install one more package. We're going to want to install NodeMon, which makes it so we don't have to restart the server every time that app.js is modified. So to do that, we're just going to go ahead and npm I for install globally and NodeMon. Going to go ahead and hit enter. That's going to install for us. All right. And then we can go ahead and test running this with NodeMon app.js. And then now we have Express server is running. So if I go ahead and preview running application, we'll get the it works message right there. And I'll just move that over to here for now. So we'll see that we're getting the it works message. Next, we're just going to create the landing page. So we're going to actually use a template file, an HTML template, to create this initially. So we're going to create it into our views folder. So let's select our views folder, and we're going to go up to File, New from Template, HTML file. It's going to give us just a standard, some tags to give us our structure, and we're going to go ahead and fill in a title, a header for the landing page, as well as a footer down below. I already had that copied, so I'm going to just put that in. So we just put in this image search title, our header here, and then a message in our footer. Now we're going to want to make sure to save this as index.ejs. So right now we don't have this file saved. You can see it's not under the views. So we're going to go ahead to File, Save, and we're going to save it as not an HTML file, actually an index.ejs in our views folder, which is already selected. Go ahead and hit save. And there we go. It's asking us if we want to reload the file. We can go ahead and do that. Now going back to our app.js file, we're going to want to update what is happening on our default route. And so we'll want to set that response to, instead of sending a simple string saying it works, we're going to want it to change send to render. And so what are we rendering? We're going to want to render our index file. And so we'll just go ahead and enter index into here. The reason we don't need to include the .ejs is because we have our view engine set as EJS. Now we're going to go ahead and set up our header and footer partials. So inside of partials folder, I'm going to create a new file titled header.ejs. And then I'm also going to create one as footer.ejs. And then how we're going to initially set these up is we're actually going to go into our index. And for our header, we're going to copy all of the lines prior to the opening body tag. So that means we're going to starting all the way up at the HTML tag and the doc type tag up here. We're going to copy down, and I'm going to do Control X to cut. And then I'm going to open up our header, and we can just place that in there. And then for the footer section, we're just going to copy the footer area we already created. Going to cut that entirely out and place it in our footer here. I can move that over. And now inside of the index.ejs file, we're going to have to include those partials. And to do that, we're going to do an opening with a percentage symbol and a dash, and then we'll tell it to include from the partials folder the header EJS partial. And so then we'll just do the percentage closing there. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it into where our footer was, and then I'll just go ahead and change this from header to footer. Now inside of our index file, right below where we made the cool images header, we're going to want to add a form for the search, where we will be actually searching for images. So we're going to create the form, and we're going to have an action that is set to the route search. We'll create an input field of type text with a placeholder that says type keyword, and we'll also name it as keyword so we can reference it later to use what the user searched. And then we'll also just have our search button here. So now I'm just going to make sure that everything is saved, and then we should be able to go ahead and preview the running application. And here we can see our cool images title with our keyword text box, our search button, and then the footer we have from our partial. Right now the button's not working because we don't have the search route set up yet. So going back to app.js, all we currently have is our index, or sorry, we have our route for the default, just the slash, but we're going to need to set up a route for the slash search.